So when they call our hall, prayed on it, and here I am standing now running for U.S. Congress District 10 here in Orange County, Florida.
Yeah, that's a great story. There is so much there, and I'm glad that we spent a little time learning about you because I think it's important for our viewers and our listeners, especially those in Florida, to learn a little bit about our candidates and who's going to potentially represent us. I think that's important. I think we're too quick just to pull a lever sometimes or find out what are the key issues. You know, whether I like them or don't like him or her, but I think it's important to know who we're electing so that when we put that person in the seat, that we really get a sense of who they are and where they're from. But Lee, do you got any thoughts? I was wondering when he started talking about Afghanistan if anything came to mind about the withdrawal, because I know that that's an area that's something that's it's pretty sensitive with you, and we've talked about it a lot. But did that bring up anything you wanted to talk about, Lee, by any chance?
Well, no, I'm just, that's an awesome story. It truly is, the American dream. You've lived it, and now that you've thrown your name into the congressional arena I know you've got a primary coming up in
July,
August.
in August, August 23rd.
Right. So you've got four other candidates. I've looked at all the candidates, and you by far are the superior choice in my mind for being the representative there. But you're going to be going up against I'm guessing, I know Val Demings is the current congresswoman from District 10, and she's running against Rubio, so she won't be running. So it's going to be a clean slate. So so we're going to assume you're going to win this great, because I can't imagine if people look at your record, see what you've accomplished in life so far, that you wouldn't be the first choice on the Republican side. It would be unfathomable to me that you're not the first choice of any Republican who takes their time to look at your resume, because you have an impeccable and an outstanding resume, and just you've explained it all to us just now. So how do you perceive your chances in a area which is leans Democratic, or maybe even predominantly Democratic, when it comes to the general election?
Well, that's similar to the way in which I was trained as a young officer and a soldier in the infantry, as well as when I was at Special Forces training. They teach you how to keep your eye on the target, be willing to go where others won't go, to go into harm's way, to be the quiet professional, know your enemy, do your research, and then go and apply yourself where it needs to be applied the most effectively. I've looked at the arena as it is now, heavily blue state, and at least in the district. Now, I'm glad to say that Governor DeSantis just mentioned yesterday when I was out at Summer Hill, Florida with him when he signed it into law, the voter integrity bill, that so we will never have our votes cheated and taken away from us in the future ever again, that you got to be willing to step up to the plate. Going into harm's way is not easy for most people. But my resolve, when every time someone told me no, the word KNOW popped in my head. And my life has always been, when someone said no, I always say back, I know KNOW, what I know KNOW, and NO, which is in that word, is not in my vocabulary. So don't tell me what I can't do. I need to choose to rise above my circumstances. Look at what God has given me, and I'm a Christian conservative constitutionalist. I have common sense. I used to work on a farm when I was a kid, and I didn't like it until I got a paper route and told my dad, I'm not going to that farm anymore. He says, you're starting to think. He said, knowledge is powerful. He only had an 8th grade education. But he made me realize that knowledge is powerful, but the more you learn, the better you are to make the right decisions, because either way, whether you choose to go left or right, good or evil, you're going to have to deal with the consequences of your actions. I'd rather have my consequences be built on things that I've done well, and people notice it or see it or feel it or receive it, because when one door closed, I found more open. And that started from the fact that I went to college on a women of prayer. I had to work my butt off, 3 jobs in the summertime, didn't have any time off the first couple of years, but kept my head to the grindstone, got the GPA, earned a scholarship, and went the rest of the way. So when people ask me, why am I running for Congress? I say, if not me, then who? If not now, then when? Who's willing to take and put his or her life at risk for people you don't even know, to stop what we all experience, at least I have through several decades of watching hell on earth with war and skirmishes, and then 9/11, and then we saw what's happening in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I said, do you want what happened in 9/11 to come back again? I was at the airport when I came home back in 2012, and the news report asked me, why would you let the government allow you to come back on active duty? I said, when they call, I haul, because I think I can fit the requirement that is met. I see that today as in terms of Congress. It's a sad shape when those who are in power are using their powers for all the wrong reasons. They snatched away our energy independence. They bought us inflation that's off the chart. Everybody's feeling this pain, regardless of their political persuasion. And then you got the educational system that wants to bring back what we left with Frederick Douglass and the war and and Reconstruction. Slavery is over, but we keep putting, those in power, keep putting that knowledge or that concern or that hurt back in the minds of our youth and our programs, and trying to slip in things that's going to divide our country worse. We need to stop this, and I need people like me who are willing to go in and take the hit. I've gone in harm's way when bullets are flying and rounds are coming in, but every day I said, Lord, if you give me another day to prove I'm more worthy than I was in days past, I will continue to walk this path. I'm ready to do exactly that for Congress. I want to make sure that we can control our borders. I could go through the whole list, but the top three was the economy, energy, and education.
Well, you sir are an inspiration to me. I mean, just listening to you talk is great, and I can relate to you a little bit. I worked on a potato farm, cabbage farm during the summer, a couple of summers, and then I actually went and delivered papers for a while before I went to work with construction, in the summers with my uncles. But yeah, get the farm work. That's 7 o'clock in the morning till dark, 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Monday through Saturday. That wears on you and say, okay, something better's along the road. But yeah, you sir are an inspiration. We wish you well. And I'm going to go after the producer for just a second, because it really pisses me off when the producer puts people on the show that I agree with all the time, because I've always said I'm going to donate to their camp. If I agree with these guys he puts on the thing, I'm going to donate. So I think the producer's trying to bankrupt me. I honestly do. Anyway, I will donate to your campaign, sir, tonight. But back to you, Carl.
Yeah, great story. Love the work ethic that you clearly got from some great parents. Real quick, before we go to videos, I know Juan's got some videos. I want you to tell our listeners and our viewers out there, and you mentioned it, you talk about Reconstruction. I'm a bit of a historian myself, primarily in the 1850s, 1840s to late 1880s. You've mentioned you're a Frederick Douglass Republican.
Yeah.
Tell us exactly what that means. I think I know what it means. You already alluded to it. You mentioned Reconstruction. Tell us, what's a Frederick Douglass Republican?
Anyone like Frederick Douglass, who we all knew, or those who don't know, surprised a lot of my students when I taught JOTC in high school, didn't know where he grew up. He grew up in Chesapeake Bay area of Maryland. I grew up in Baltimore. He ran away from the plantation and got educated and became a great person who could speaker, and he got well renowned. But the one thing that I loved about him, he had the ear of Abraham Lincoln. He was able to walk into the White House, and he was able to encourage and recruit thousands of blacks. Back then they were called coloreds. And oh, by the way, on my birth certificate, it says I'm colored. I'm looking at the screen of all of you guys, I see a variety of colors. But he got the coloreds or the blacks to join the Civil War on the Union side to free the slaves. To put it in the context to the young listeners out there, there's a recent movie that Jamie Foxx and Samuel L. Jackson played in called The Django. And Jamie L. Foxx, to me, represented the Union Army who was going to get the people on the plantation off the plantation and end slavery. Because at that time, as similar like we have right now, the Democrats ran the House, the Senate. They both said, no, we're not going to let slavery go. They sent it to the Supreme Court, and on a 7-2 vote, slavery was going to stay. Lincoln had no choice. And so Frederick Douglass saw the need to get blacks who wanted to say, I am an American, to let's make sure that that became true. And at the end of the Civil War, the chains were broken. There was no reason for blacks not to rise up. In fact, we had so many that did We had several millionaires. I think it was about 6 millionaires right after the Reconstruction era. There were 20 blacks became U.S. congressmen, and they were all Republican. And there were two that became senators. But when I asked students in school that, I even asked one of the high school professors, it's not in our book. Why is that? And wondered why many people of color, many blacks, feel that they have nothing to springboard from. We have a lot to springboard from. If we can go and dig and find about dinosaurs and the pyramids and the pharaohs, we can certainly look back at the 245, 246 years of history and find the truth. But they keep burying the truth, and they want the truth not to be heard. But I remember when I got pinned by Chappie James, he actually came to Morgan State, and I had him pin one of my bars on my shoulder, my butter bar, and he said, "You need not to look back." As he looked across at Benjamin O. Davis Jr., and he said, "We've paid the price. Forget about reparations. You need to start focusing on what's ahead. You don't drive a car looking backwards. You might look in the rearview mirror every now and then as a reminder, but your eyes need to be focused on what's ahead. Set it up for the next generation." And that inspired me then, as it inspires me now, to keep my focus on the next generation. On my lapel, you may not be able to see it, I wear a set of baby feet next to the cross. And on that cross, and you see I got my the Oppresso Libre badge for my special forces to liberate the oppressed. The baby feet is representing the unborn. And it's not just those who say, well, you wait till they get born. I say from creation until death. And I want everyone to know that I'm serious about that. I'm not going to Congress for the money. I've been blessed. I'm retired. I live in a nice area down here in Florida. But I think back, how can I be an example for others who feel they can't, to let them know that they can? Like the word no, I take the N-O and cross it out. K-N-O-W, take the N-O out. And like the word can't, I drop the apostrophe and T and throw it away. If we start thinking, believing, and receiving, and we believe in Christ Almighty, there's nothing that's impossible. The probabilities are against you, but you got to weigh that between what you do and what you don't do. That's why I think I'll be the right person at the right time. I'm willing to be just like Mr. T. I'm ready to start in 18 with Mike Walsh and all the other Green Berets. I think there's 7 or 8 of us will come out of the jungle, come out of the desert and say, I'm in it to win it. Put me in, coach. And I hope my constituents will accept that as an opportunity for me to be their advocate in Congress.
Yeah, that's amazing. And there's so much you said there. I'm taking some notes. I almost want to have a show. I love how you frame that so well about being a Frederick Douglass, because right now we're in the process of reteaching what happened post and pre-Civil War, and we're getting all that wrong. I mean, I am all about getting it correct and making sure Americans understand why we fought that war and what happened after the war. But you seem to know it. You have the history down, the correct version of the history, and there's only one, right? It's either the correct version or it's all made up lies.
Right.
But we could have a whole nother show talking about this. But all right, it looks like the producer wants to. We're gonna go show some videos. Colonel, here's how this works. We show a video. I'll go first. I'll comment just 15, 20 seconds on it. You'll go next. You'll kick it over to Lee, and then on the second video, Lee will start, kick it back over to you, and then you'll kick it back over to me. Sometimes they're funny, sometimes they're serious. I mean, there's been a time where it might even these could bring some laughter, some joy, or a tear to your eye. I have no idea. I mean that sincerely. We don't pre-screen them. We don't watch them. We have no idea what's coming. So Juan, let's go ahead and roll the first video and see what's up for tonight.
Border agents work to contain the current influx of people at the southern border. The body of Texas guardsmen who died trying to save 2 people in the Rio Grande River on Friday was found, recovered. Texas Army National Guard Specialist Bishop Evans, just 22 years old, and he'd already served in Kuwait and Iraq. Meanwhile, the White House appeared to blame the state of Texas for his death.
The loss of his life, and we are grateful for the work of every National Guardsman. I would note that the National Guard work for the states, and so he is an employee of the Texas National Guard, and his efforts and his operation were directed by there, not by the federal government.
My 12-year-old could have written the right talking points there. We grieve with his family. We're thankful for his service. I don't know what that was.
I
agree.
I when I saw that the first time, I could not believe that actually happened. When folks out there, if you're listening, when you say, to a vet, thank you for your service. Thank a vet for their service by voting for candidates who put veterans above illegal aliens. That's all I got to say. Colonel, over to you.
I say that that is a sad example of the poor leadership or the quality or lack thereof that is coming out of her mouth as well as the White House at this time. It's appalling that you try to degrade the effort that that young soldier had to take because the federal level leadership failed to do their job. They had to push the Texas governor into having to make a decision. How can I stop this incursion that is happening across our borders, whether it's at the federal line or the state line? And he had to stand his people up. And that young man, when he swore his oath like all the rest, he swore an oath to do all he could to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, both foreign and domestic, so help him God. He didn't say as a Texan. I didn't say it as a New Jerseyan or a Floridian. I said it to the United States of America, America first. And to let him die trying to save people who are not coming through the right way, we say, let them all come in. Wrong answer. Come through the front door if you want to come in. We're benevolent people. We're Judeo-Christian nation. We want to help people. We want to help people who would do the right things. But to have that young soldier take his armor off, guide in the water, only to find that we don't know, how did he really die? Yes, he's drowned, but how and what caused the drowning? And I hope we get to the bottom of this and to see his body being pulled from the water this morning and watching that, the salute that they gave him. He has served his country. And if he doesn't get a Congressional Medal of Honor for his efforts here on the state side, something's wrong with the leadership, which we all know needs to go.
Yeah, Jen Psaki, I mean, she's appalling, and she comes across as appalling. She's just an apologist for an inept administration, and she's mostly lying when she's talking up there. And this guy is an American hero, point blank. We grieve with his family, and it's horrible what happened to him. He gave his life for, and as far as I'm concerned, he gave his life for his country, and it is an American hero, and will always be an American hero. And we grieve with his family, and you can't imagine what his family's going through right now. But we certainly pray and we grieve with them.
Amen. Amen.
What I'm about to tell you is one of the most disturbing things you will ever hear in your lifetime. This is my son at about 28 days old, and right now in California, legislation is being passed that would make it legal to murder him. This bill, AB 2223, would make it absolutely legal to kill babies, not just in the womb, but now outside of the womb, up to 28 days old. It would also prevent law enforcement from conducting any type of criminal investigation into the matter.
Okay, I don't see the...
Many of us have been talking about not just being pro-life, but being anti-abortion for a long time now. And people say, oh, there aren't people who love abortion, they just want the freedom to choose. Who on earth would choose to murder a 28-day-old child like mine that I showed you in that video? This is the work of demons, and we must bow our knee and pray and overturn this legislation.
So the state of California, I mean, there's evil. There's a battle going on right now between good and evil is winning, unfortunately. I personally feel we got to, you got to look to God, because he's the only one who's going to save us from all this stuff through Jesus and get this evil out of this country. California is a lost cause right now. And if we don't take back with Colonel Wimbish is going to win in Florida in the congressional 10th district, we need more like him to take back Congress in 2022, to take back the White House in 2024, or this country is going to be a lost cause. We're in trouble. And what that guy says, just pure evil, what he was referencing in that and in the state of California. And it doesn't surprise me with the leadership in California right now. Colonel Wimbish, over to you, sir.
Yeah, I say this. Christy Nome gave me those little baby feet that are sitting next to my cross on my lapel. I wear it every day, and I will wear it the rest of my life, because what he says is a reflection of exactly what I'm against. No child, whether you man or woman, I call them people who become embodied, but not in spirit and mentally as men and women. Go and make a child, but then they don't want to have that child, whatever the reason might be. Give that child the right of passage. Let that child be born and do not take that child out. You know, and I know millions of people around the world travel around the world spending tons of money trying to adopt the child that's been left alone. You're not responsible or accountable enough to be a man or a woman to have a child. Think before you act. You know, there's something that came to my mind when he said that too. And it was by Booker T. Washington. And it's profound because it's true today. When a lie doesn't become the truth, and wrong doesn't become right, and evil doesn't become good just because it's accepted by the masses. We've got a lot of evil, and it's not Republican versus Democrat, it's really evil versus good. And we have to stop the evil from destroying the values that we know that this nation was set upon. We did not create a nation that can be the shining star for others when we're going to destroy 60,000 babies in one state alone. And you start multiplying that out in our nation plus around the world. We have a problem in River City, if you would. We need to wake up because God is watching. And I'm going to be an advocate in behalf of my constituents. And if I have to be Cal the Baptist instead of John the Baptist, they're going to have to come after me pretty hard because I'm going to lay it on those who continue to say, let the child die, whether they're in the womb or after. Wrong answer, wrong time to this person. I'm going to stand against that.
Yeah, Lee, Colonel, great words from you both. Just, God absolutely is watching. Every time I see someone that just looks, a homeless guy or someone panhandling on the corner, we always try to help because I always look to my wife and I'll say, that could be Jesus and this could be a test. And everybody driving by is failing. So anyway, folks, we want to make sure we plug one of our great sponsors. Mike Lindell, a great American, mypillow.com. He's up on the screen there. You get the promo code RAM. A lot of great products. It's, if you're not using his products, please, check them out. It's more than just pillows now, right? Right now it's slippers. It's all kind of items, stuff for your pets. There's got to be some holiday right around the corner that you need to buy someone a gift for. So just go to Mike Lindell. He is absolutely a great American. Products are all made in America, 100%. Promo code RAM. Also, folks, we got Skipper and TC are on deck. They're up next with Vet Nation. Looking forward to that show. It's a great show. You do not want to miss those guys tonight. And we appreciate them following us here on the council. And we love their show. Absolutely a great show. All right, I think we're going to show one more video, our last video. I'll go ahead and kick it off and pass it over to you, Colonel. And Juan in the box. Let's see that last video.
I will never make fun of the Clintons, okay? No. I am the last person that wants to wake up with a mysterious self-inflicted gunshot wound. This is a story about the Clinton airport, and it's a good airport. It's like professionally run. It's all paid staff. No, it is. There are no interns. And what? No, I just didn't know it was called the Bill and Hillary Clinton International Airport. And I walked in that morning, and the guy was so excited, and I didn't know they changed the name. I didn't know it. And he goes, "Welcome to the Bill and Hillary Clinton International Airport. May I see your boarding pass?" And I couldn't help it. I was like, "Oh, man." They emailed it to me, but it got deleted. And
Oh,
Man, that's great. Back in the day, I was in one of my previous Air Force jobs. I got to travel a lot with Bush 41, and we were out in Arkansas for something, and we got to go to I went to the Clinton Presidential Library, and maybe Juan can find a picture of it for the next show, but I kid you not, it looked like a trailer. I don't know if it's just me or my perception or the design, but that thing looked like a trailer. So whoever designs that airport, I hope they do a little better job than the Clinton's Presidential Library, because I don't know if anybody's ever been there, but my recollection is it looked like it just came off a trailer park. And I don't mean to be disrespectful to a former president. We are thankful for his service to this country as president. But man, what are your thoughts, Colonel, before we go over to Lee?
I say we're in a council culture, and I do not want to be deleted, nor do I want all the things that need to be corrected to be canceled out. Thank goodness Elon Musk bought Twitter today or yesterday, and hopefully he'll make sure that doors are open. And of course, with President Trump's Truth Network, a social site that's just come up, we're going to hear more truth than lies, and that really made me laugh because they have been trying to delete and destroy the truth for which this nation has been formed. All I can say is this too in parting. Please ask the people to go to my website, if you don't mind. It's votecal2022.org. And the VOTECAL 2022.org has a real meaning because the C in my name is I'm a Christian, conservative, constitutionalist with common sense. The A is for America First. I have stood for and I will continue to stand for America First. And the L is loyal. I'm loyal to that flag. I have proven that. I'm ready to do it again in a different sort of way. I'm putting on a different kind of uniform called a suit, and I'll go to Congress, but I'm not going there to be a politician. I'm going there to be a patriot looking out for the republic, to revise those rules and laws that are shaking the very core of our nation to the ground. We're suffering, we're hurting our people. I do not want to see America become another Venezuela. So we need to rise up and do the right things right, and we will not be deleted as people who love this country. We're patriots first, and I salute all of you colonels who have stood up and have this program available to guys like me who want to do the right things right for this country.
You know what? And I'll echo that a little bit. I'm going to your website and I will contribute tonight. I encourage anybody who looks at your record and listens to you talk, I don't see how they couldn't contribute. But back to our video, that comedian, Clinton side and Arkansas side is a real thing, guys. That's a real thing. I'd be looking, if I was him, I'd be looking over my shoulder because that is a real thing. But anyway, yes, congressional 10th district in the state of Florida. This Colonel Wimbish is the real deal, guys. We need to support him any way we can. So if you're watching this show, I highly encourage you to go to his website and contribute to his campaign because every little bit helps, I'm sure, his campaign to get him elected to Congress. And we need gentlemen like Colonel Wimbish in Congress, more like him, representing us conservatives in Congress. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Calvin, if I can call you Calvin, Colonel Wimbish, we are so honored to have you. What a great show tonight. In the show, I think, and I wrote it down, you said you were an ordinary guy. Well, I will tell you, you've done extraordinary things. And when you have ordinary guys doing extraordinary things, in my book, those are called heroes. And we are so glad to have you. And you are absolutely one of my heroes. Folks, thanks for being with us tonight. You got Vet Nation with Skipper and TC coming next. Looking forward to seeing you next Tuesday night on another episode of the Council of Colonels. Thanks, Juan. Thanks, Lee. Colonel Wimbish, good luck. Good night, everyone.
Thank you. God bless.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Veteran Nation. As always, I have my co-host, TC. TC, how are things up there in the great north?
Warm and sweaty.
Yeah, you guys had another little bit of a heat wave.
Yeah, it's coming back. I think we got down to 58 on Saturday night overnight, and didn't get up much over 70 on Sunday. But the heat's back. That's just the way things go for us. You know, hey Juan, I know that you're incredibly busy listening, but that little spot you ran right before us, between us and Council of Colonels, you need to send that to me so I can run it on my network.
That's
So, I mean, I've only asked a few times.
I actually, because I streamed this out for our YouTube channel, and I hit the record right as that was going, so we caught it for at least our archive.
Well, you know, nice. You know, well, we have a guest tonight, and I'd like to, like, you know, sit here and make fun of you more like we did last week, but our guest has been waiting patiently, and apparently she's driving. Well, I hope she's not driving. I hope she has a chauffeur. Do you have a chauffeur, Ms. Baysmore?
Not tonight, I don't. But I have a mechanical free camera, so
You have
it's
a
not
hands
bothering me.
free, is what you're
Yep,
you're
it's
the hands
hands
free.
free,
Are those
and I'm
campaign phones?
I'm 2 minutes away from where I'm supposed to be tonight.
Oh.
So I did this at the 11th hour.
It's not you're not the first person who we've had scheduled to come on that's had to wait. Trust me. Normally it's just Skipper and I, because you know officers like to gab a lot, and
We do.
they.
And
So
It's okay.
so tell us a little.
She's in the Beltway, so she's dealing with a lot of traffic, I'm sure. I used to live down there.
Nope, no traffic here. Smooth sailing.
So tell us about yourself. You're running for what do they call it in your neck of the woods?
I'm actually running for House of Delegates. So I'm running to become a legislator in the state of Maryland. And it's for District 40. District 40 makes up, it's the second largest district in Baltimore City.
And that's at the state level.
Yeah, it's on the state,
Okay.
it's at the state level.
All right. And
Yeah,
and
actually,
you have a big district, but you also have a heart for veterans because you've had a lot of family in the military.
absolutely. My dad served in the military. He retired, and when he retired, he went straight over to the federal government. My uncle, he served in the Navy. My husband, my father-in-law, retired from the Navy as well and went straight into the federal government at the Department of Printing Engravings. So we have a lot of military background.
That would cause me trouble. You want me to work in the Department of Imprinting and Engraving? I would be trying to make my own money.
Oh, stop. Oh, my goodness. Oh, no. Well, they have a tight rein there.
If they can print money however they want, I don't understand why I can't. So
why you can't? Talk about printing money. I think while the country is really heading in the wrong direction, and people that are suffering the most are our service people that have retired, people on fixed incomes, even the middle class is suffering because we cannot print our way out of inflation. Economics doesn't work that way.
What?
Economics, surprise, surprise. Economics doesn't work that way.
You clearly are not a good candidate for office when you bring that much logic to the argument. So when I spoke with you on the phone a couple of weeks ago, and I asked you a little bit about what you've been doing for veterans, and obviously this is Veteran Nation, and so that's why we're on. And you've been very active in Veterans Affairs, not the department, but of Veterans Affairs and trying to bring awareness to the community in your area about all the vets in your area and the way people are suffering, that are either retired or just separated after doing their first enlistment, especially those that have come out of the combat zones. But you've been
Hmm.
working really hard to bring awareness to those things, and that's something you're carrying as part of your campaign. How is that being received?
It's being received very well, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I am a warrior, and I believe that when we have men and women that have fought for us, for our freedoms, to protect our freedoms here in this country, that there should never be a thing where they come back home and they are not treated as heroes, that they are not allowed their VA benefits. A lot of people that come home, even after they go through debriefing, like my nephews did, um, during the 90s and the early parts of, of, of 2000s, I think, and I watched that veterans they were not being treated the way I felt they should be treated when they were debriefed and coming home from serving. And I'm going to tell you that what was going on in VA at the time in Washington, D.C. should have never went on. It should never be a thing where you bring home over a 250,000 vets, men and women that have served, and you don't have enough manpower that work on the federal level or that work on a regional level to actually help make sure that those vets are getting all the benefits that they are entitled to. And I watched a lot of that go on. So when President Trump became president, he definitely made promises, but he kept his promises because he was able to do something that I did not see. And I'm from DC. I did not see happening for decades, which are being able to bring on staffing on a federal and a state and local level that really cared about our vets, that were hard workers, that would get the work done, that would process the claims, that would not take our vets through a lot of bureaucracy just to get what is rightfully owed to them. So when President Trump made it possible finally that the VA could actually terminate an employee for lack of duty, for a derelict of duty, I was like, finally, finally, because it's so hard to terminate. The Office of Management finds it very hard to terminate people that's in the federal government. And we want to talk about big government. I just believe that big government, it should be bigger on the state and local side because that would create jobs in the state. But not only that, it gives more attention to the ratio of attention that our vets would receive, would be at a higher level. And so I have fought because it made no sense to me that we had vets that became homeless, vets that were coming home and committing suicide on a national level like I've never seen before. Because a lot of people, even when vets, as you guys are vets, and thank you first of all for serving our country, for serving me, for protecting my freedoms. But vets are worth fighting for. It's no such thing as a vet should be homeless. There is no such thing as a vet should be suffering silently with post-traumatic stress disorder. That should never be taking place. And so I also started to look at nonprofit organizations and local organizations that actually deal with mental health issues when it concerns our vets. And so I'm about to do another press conference next week because after looking at 5 different on the ground organizations that help people with mental disabilities, including our vets, I find those organizations that are horribly not structured. And so we're going to call you out when we go in and we see that you are not structured, and that our vets are, and even our most vulnerable people with mental disabilities are not being cared for in a right, structured way where they can complete those programs successfully and begin to live a normal life. When I see millions of dollars, I helped to bring $30 million into Baltimore in 2018 to help end homelessness because I looked at our vets living on the street, living in encampments, and seniors. First time I've ever seen so many people living in tents. And I said, no, this is unacceptable. Not only is it unacceptable, but we're going to have to do something about it.
That's really good to hear that
It's
you're
a
taking those stances.
yeah.
I would invite you, if you are doing a press conference, if you have anyone that can record that or push that out live. I know you're in our Facebook group. Feel free to post it there. Also, you can message me, and I'll make sure that it goes out on our YouTube channel as well, because we want to make sure that veterans know about all the different things that you're doing.
And thank you so much for the platform because it's also important that we meet vets where they are. If they're on the grounds, we need to, Department HUD, along with each mayor's office or homeless services and the Department of Housing in each one of our major cities, they have what they call outreach workers. And those outreach workers are responsible for not only just doing that annual count of people that are homeless, but they are not just responsible for actually letting other organizations like such as faith-based know, okay, we have so many people over here, they're in an encampment, and y'all need to bring them food. We need to make sure they're eating. No, we need to make sure that it's all about housing first. And when you serve in the military and you don't have, when you out and you're being debriefed, if you don't have caseworkers that are working military, even on the civilian side, that are working one-on-one with our vets going over their benefits that they have available to them and actually doing the paperwork right then and there. This should be a process done on their way out, not waiting until they come all the way out of the system, go into civilian life, and leave it up to them to have to go seek out through VA their benefits. No, this should be an outbound process. And we're going to fight until that's done because we have so many vacant and abandoned properties here in Baltimore City, over almost 16,000 of them. At one point, we had over 62,000 vacant and abandoned properties and lots and buildings, even schools. And so they stopped investing in the city of Baltimore. Baltimore
All you
is
need to do is
supposed to be
get all those homeless vets and give them a sergeant and tell them to go fix those places, and they would fix it and live in it. That's I mean we've
absolutely.
I know where active duty military people will live and feel comfortable, and it's well the one of the things that I struggle with is we literally hand out millions and millions and millions and billions of dollars a year in this country to people who don't belong here, who have
Wow.
never given anything to this country. They come because, and I'm not saying, I'm not saying I'm not saying some of them don't come and work because, but the ones that and I'm not just talking about the southern border. I'm talking about from all over the world.
All
But
over.
I have Mexican friends, like genuine Mexican friends who came here through the legal process, who despise the social programs, despise them because of what it does to their communities where they live, and the image that it gives. I know Somalians who despise the social programs because of the image
Hmm.
that it paints of their people and of their work ethic. But we literally spend billions on people who have never contributed anything to this country ever. We're literally sending billions and trillions of dollars to Ukraine, in by way of
Mhm.
weapons and armament, and now we know there are American and operatives, literal black ops operatives, which is going to include military people. I don't care what anybody says, on the ground
Right.
fighting, and we can't
You know that's going to
we
take
can't get
place.
any
Yeah.
we any extra money to veterans who are killing themselves to the tune of over 22 a
It's
day.
just so sad.
There's no other group of people per capita that's
Right.
losing that many people to suicide, let alone all the other complications.
Right. Yeah.
And it
Something
covers
that you,
white, black, Hispanic, Native, Asian. It doesn't matter your ethnicity. It's every single,
it's,
like, you want a representation of what America is. It's the veteran community, and the suicide rates and the homeless rates and the mental health issues and
yes.
and and all of that are affecting them all, and
So,
nobody gives a damn.
so
Well, I shouldn't say
let me
nobody,
tell
but
you, I care. And so that's why I will go to Annapolis. We're already drafting bills because we have to put the right policies and implement the right policies. And a lot of people, I believe in letting my voice be heard, but unless you're willing to actually do something, and that's why I'm making the sacrifice to do something. I come from a financial background, former CEO for a high-tech firm, and I'm making this sacrifice because some of us have to step up to the plate and make the sacrifice when we know what needs to be done, some common sense solutions, but being able to implement solutions and actually be able to successfully complete the mission, which is to make sure that our vets are taken care of, make sure that we lower that suicide rate because they need to be able to have their own community where they can go and they can have someone to talk to. They need to have activity on a daily basis where they're utilizing their skills, their talents in the civilian life. You feel me? So many times they come back and it's bad enough and hard enough where they're having flashbacks. But when you feel like you now don't fit, that you don't fit into where your home or you don't fit into your community in any longer. That's got to be a devastating type of feeling for one to go through. You know what I'm saying? We also should be
oh,
working with
absolutely,
family
absolutely.
members. We also should be working and supporting family members because they too should be prepared that when their spouse returns home, they should already have things in place where they are prepared for their loved one to come home, get the services that they need, get the attention that they need, matching other service families together. So I love what some organizations on a national level are doing, but I think we need more of those on a local and state level
Absolutely.
because that way we can meet them where they're at.
There is something that's going on out here in California near a community not far from me, where they have
There's a lot of things going on in California, just to be honest, and I don't know if we should start
Yes,
with that
a
as an
lot with
example, Skipper.
well, actually, I think this is a great one because to combat veteran homelessness, what they've done is they've started building these tiny homes out here because the housing prices are insane. But what they did was they
Yeah,
built
I
these.
Yurts.
saw that. Kansas City started that program
Yep.
and it's been very successful and it's spreading like wildflower. We're trying to make sure that we get that here in Maryland and Baltimore because I feel like that's a good subsidy where there is a community. It feels like home. It's smaller, but vets, when you're out there in the field and you're fighting, you become accustomed. You're okay. You can deal with certain things, but it will feel like home while they're making transition, renovating and creating more affordable housing for people to be able now to take their benefits and actually purchase a home.
once again, I'll just say I think you just let the vets build them, and they're going to be in perfect lines, and they will
I
have
love that.
entrench. They'll have trenches around them. There'll be no worry about water getting in, and it'll be
Anytime they
clean.
can build
And
anytime vets can build makeshift hospitals during the pandemic, and I saw their work. I mean, them boys, them boys and women are baby. They don't be playing. They get in, mission accomplished. You turn around
you know,
a week.
it's I'm glad you noticed that because that's one of the things I don't want to downplay anybody that struggles with mental health issues at all. I don't
Hmm.
care, civilian, whatever. But one of the great weaknesses that we see for veterans who are struggling with mental health issues is a lot of times the people that they have to talk to are civilians, and the
Hmm.
support groups are often civilians. And
Wow.
I have this, and I was fortunate to serve during a time where I joined while the war was going on, and then had that letdown that the war was over, and then I was still in the military. So I I was like, "What? I joined because of the war." Uh, I wouldn't
Right.
recommend that to anybody today, but I still had that lifetime of military experience, and I understand losing comrades in arms,
Yeah.
brothers in arms, sisters in arms. I know what that's like. Went through a lot of garbage. Um, but you cannot take a vet who especially is struggling with military related PTSD
Hmm.
out of the military, rip him, and granted, oftentimes they're kind of ripping themselves away from that community because they want to get away, but rip them away from that and then put them into a civilian community where they go to a support group, especially for PTSD, and there's some 19-year-old twerp sitting there saying, "Oh, I have PTSD because one time somebody punched me in school."
Oh wow. Yeah.
And
It's such an
and
insult.
and
It's
and it's not that I'm not saying this person doesn't have struggles. Don't get me wrong, but when you
I
have a
understand.
person,
Look,
especially with our military members
don't
today
even
who have been in
excuse
a
that
war for
because
over
you
20 years,
don't don't even excuse that because you have hit that so on point. Because we have got to, even people in the in the mental health arena, in our healthcare, in our government, in our DHS, in our VA, they must understand that there is something special, and there I don't believe that there's anyone that have gone through a lot of the things that people that come back from that's been in the military and have served 2, 3, 4, sometimes even 5 tours of duty. I really don't believe that a lot of our mental health care workers, even
they're not
though they've got
qualified.
years of experience,
Mm.
I don't believe they're qualified because that's a special area. It is really a special area, and it
Yeah,
needs to be
they're just
treated
not
as such.
ready. Yeah.
Yeah, it needs
But
to
there
be
again,
treated as
having
such.
been in the military, I don't know if I want a military doctor in charge of helping me get
Right.
better. Like, put a band-aid on it. But it's PTSD. I
Yeah,
don't
we
care. Put a
don't need
band-aid on it. Get
patchwork.
back to
We
work.
don't need patchwork. We don't need
No,
patchwork. Yeah, yeah. But I think that they should work with people that are also in the military. Bring some people that have been through it, that have the experience, that understand what vets go through and what they're going through. So I think a joint partnership um, could resolve a lot of issues, and I think we really could save more lives.
absolutely. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit. I'm just gonna I'm gonna be up front. You are a clearly a black woman running for
Hmm.
office in a predominantly, I would imagine, probably a pretty strongly held. Is it a strongly held Democrat district?
We're actually in a
Tr-
purple state, but Baltimore
Yeah.
makes up about 60. I think it's about last numbers that I saw is about 57%. That's changing is Democrat. It changed quite a bit. It shifted quite a bit during the 2020 elections.
I can't
And
imagine why.
22%, yeah, 22% is about independence. And I think us Republicans hold maybe about 13 to 15%. But
your
I'm not
district in and
running
of
as a
itself.
Republican. I'm not
No,
running as a Republican. People
no,
that know me, I'm a Republican, but I'm running as a common sense, solution
right.
based leader and a voice for the
But
people. Period.
are you butting up against resistance to that because you don't have the right letter behind your name?
No. And you know
Good,
why?
because
Because
that's
I've actually been on.
because that's a big deal for a lot of people. I mean, we
Let
run
me
into
tell
it
you why.
frequently.
Let me tell you why. I have people come to me now asking me to help them before the deadline change their party just to vote for me. Because you know what they understand? I've actually been doing the work. They could call me day or night. I'm right there. I'm their voice. They
It's true,
know
she
I have
won't
a
answer her
passion.
phone. So
Yeah, I know, and we have not seen our delegates in the past 22 months. We haven't seen them, but they're getting ready to come out because it's election cycle. Well, that's
they're
not
gonna want
playing
your
well
vote and your
anymore.
money. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not playing any well. That's not playing well anymore here in Baltimore City. But people are tired and they are ready for real change. They really are.
Do you
We've seen
do
it.
you
We've
see
seen it happening all across the nation right now. I spoke quite had a really a good opportunity to sit down and speak with Lieutenant Governor Winter Sears and her husband. And I am so. She said, "Zulieka, just keep doing what you're doing because that's what we did. We looked at the issues. We took the issues. We went to the ground." Grassroots to the ground with the people. We listened to what the issues were, what problems they were having in their schools when it came to the youth, when it came to mental health, when it came to education, when it came to crime. We listened, we sit down, we spoke our views, we spoke our mindset. We had more in common than we did, and that's how she was able to win. That's how Youngkin was able to win the state of West Virginia. Never been done before by a Republican.
do you do you see a shift in the neighborhoods that you're canvassing and I mean it looks like do you have signs in the back of your car? I can't tell. Um
Yes,
it looks like
yes,
campaign signs back there.
yes.
Who do you have riding with you tonight, by the way?
Oh, let me introduce. This is
He's no, don't put me on
two-time,
camera, he said.
two-time legendary, two-time USBA boxing champion Kenny Baysmore, the technician. That's my
You
husband.
have a you your husband's an awarded boxer?
Two-time
I would
USBA National Golden Glove champion and Olympic 1981 Olympic trials. Say hi to the
I
audience, Kenny. I am.
well, I feel like
He's now
I was already in
coaching.
we were in the presence of greatness before. Now we got double greatness. He's your
Yeah,
security.
that's it.
uh,
You know, I became the first female sports manager in the country in 1987. And 25 years later, 10 years after I retired, Mr. Baysmore, he came knocking at my door one night and said, "Zulieka, I love you. You have to got to help keep managing my life. I love you. Marry me."
that's
So
quite the
yeah, but
that's quite the proposal. I don't know how you could turn that down.
I couldn't.
Did you ask for 50%?
Oh well, no. Well, we had a 33% contract anyway. I'm business. I've been
You're all
a
bit.
CEO of a high tech firm, so I'm business. It started off
You're all
as a
business.
business relationship. Yeah.
So I know you got. It sounds like you're on your way to another event or to an event.
Absolutely.
So I don't want to. I
Yeah.
don't want to keep you for too. I don't want to keep you from getting to your event or keep
I'm
you
I'm
from.
so humbled. I'm so humbled
Oh.
that you guys
Oh well.
asked
Wait till
for
you
me to
actually
come
see the
on.
plat. Wait till you actually see our platform. You'll be like, I can't believe I went on there. So,
Look, I
I'm
can
kidding.
believe it. Look, because I know some of I know. Look, I know my dad. I know my nephews and them. They don't be playing. They don't hold no punches. So I can imagine
Well, you'll
what
have to
your
make
your
sure they watch.
platform.
You'll have to make sure they watch this then.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will.
And we want to.
I
Yeah,
will.
I just walk up to.
We
Yeah,
want to make sure.
absolutely. I walk up to
Let me
veterans.
give anyone that wants to support, no matter where you live, we're supporting all true patrons, and I am America First. So if anyone wants to check out what we've been doing to help out homeless, to end homelessness, and mental health, even education and affordable housing, you can check out my campaign website at Baysmore, Baysmore, the number 4, Baltimore.org. And I can be reached at 443-741-5748. Or you can email me at baysmoreforbaltimore@gmail.com. Good night, gentlemen. I've got to go on that note.
You go. Thank you.
Come back and see us again.
Thank you. Definitely, I would be honored to. And thank you again for serving. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You know, Skipper, it's not very often we got somebody who gives us a run for our money.
You know, it's very inspiring seeing people who are out there in the community helping out other people, and when they focus on veterans, it really makes all the service that we did, feel respected, and yeah, I enjoy that so much.
I'm glad that I saw her post there a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
So
she's been an active member of our community. She's posted in our stuff. I've shared it. I unfortunately I moved away from the Beltway, so I don't have the connections there that I used to have. But I totally support her and whatever we can do to help her get elected. I think she'll be great for the state of Maryland.
well, yeah, clearly, good, better than what they've been getting over the last few decades.
They, you know,
I bet you've got. Do you have any stories that you wanted to talk about tonight, or because I know Juan's going to have some sort of videos for
I
us.
prepared some stuff, but I know it'll have us go long, so we can just talk about it in another
Yeah.
week. You saw my. I've got a FOIA request out there, so everyone, if you're
Yeah.
following me on social media, you know about it. But we'll go into depth about it. I got a video, but we can do that on another week.
Juan, you got anything funny for us? Well, okay. It may not be funny to other people, but I guarantee you we'll laugh. So
In order to keep track of predators in our jurisdiction, we started the Neighborhood Association for Active Child Predators, or as we call it, the NAACP.
Holy shit, man. Are you serious? I've been defending you for quite a while. Blur my face out. I'm not want any part of this.
Oh, that's right. That's the college organization for student athletes.
No. Oh, my Lord. You got two things mixed up there. One of those things exploits black people for profit, and the other one is the NAACP. I'm going to take off. This time of year, we find it important to honor and recognize our public servants and patriots.
There's nothing more patriotic than servicing men.
Nope.
What?
No.
Oh, servicing women are important too.
What, servicing? Is that even a word?
I love servicing dogs. The K9 unit is very patriotic and important to me.
You might love servicing dogs.
The police force thinks Dick and Doug love servicing dogs, because I told them.
They probably do think that. You know what people say about us behind our backs?
To combine my passions of the Lord and milk, I've started Glory Dairy Products.
Oh, it's heavenly, especially the Dick's Glory Whole Milk.
I'll tell you who loves Glory Whole Milk is truckers. It keeps them nice and fed when they're hitting the road.
With that frothy, creamy milk.
You know, that one senator was emailing me about Glory Whole Milk.
Lindsey Graham?
Oh. Why do I imagine that's a conversation that you could have, Skipper?
It's definitely something I would tweet.
I don't. I don't know how Juan finds these things. I don't. He must be making enough money from his My Pillow endorsements to just like peruse TikTok all day long. He says no. He fired me tonight, by the way.
Uh-oh. What did he do?
He said half of Veteran Nation has been canceled. I'm pretty sure it was me.
I don't know if I can do this thing alone. I've gotten used to having you here. If I tell my bad jokes, it's just no one there to boo at me.
Oh no, there plenty of people are there booing at you. Just have faith in that.
Can't hear them. maybe in the Facebook and YouTube chats.
Well, if I ever can't make it, I'll make sure that we have plenty of people booing you in our comment section.
I do want to plug another show while we have a quick little lull. I was supposed to be on, but we haven't worked it out yet. But I'm going to be on a show called Summary Judgment Talk Show, and it's.
I thought you were going to be on that. What happened? You were going to be on that yesterday.
I tried calling in and it didn't work, but they did plug our channel. They did talk a little bit about some of the things that I've been discussing with them. But he does want to do collaboration with us, and I don't know if I told you, it's Ed Peruta, who is very famously behind the Peruta v. San Diego gun case. So this gentleman, he's a retired law enforcement officer, and he's been a private investigator, and he works with a Yale lawyer, and yeah, they talk a lot of constitutional issues, and yeah, they plugged our show for us, and they want to do some collaboration. So hopefully we can do more with them.
I would like to talk to them. They're right up my alley.
Oh, Ed has a lot of stories.
They're right up my alley for my show too. My
I'll
solo show, not.
give you his information so you can reach out and have him on. But yeah, they do some great work over there, and he was a Vietnam veteran Marine, so he can talk your ear off.
I can't imagine.
I think Juan's got another one for us.
There's nothing to appreciate a man for.
Approximately 81% of the U.S. military is men. What if we go to war? 83.2% of the U.S. police force are men. What if you're the victim of a crime? 65% of U.S. farm workers are men. Do you like food? What about power and lights? 96.5% men. Running water? Plumbers, again, 96.5% men. Truck drivers, 88.3% men. Sanitation workers, 82.1% men. Construction workers, 93.8% men. Need I say more?
You are 30 times more likely to die on the job. Not doing this, of course.
I'm not. Well, your jokes are 50% more likely to die on the job. If you go back just to the way this week had well, actually since Friday, some of the stuff that we've seen, I wish I had. Why? What are they announcing tomorrow?
Oh, tomorrow's the West Virginia versus EPA case.
What? What's that one?
That is, from what it looks like it will gut all of the regulatory aspects of, I believe, refineries in this country.
Well, now I'm looking it up.
Yep. And then there's a slew of gun cases that have been waiting for the New York rifle pistol. We didn't get a chance to bring it up, but Maryland's got the Maryland.
Yeah.
What's that?
I want people to, since we're talking about people's overreactions, I don't know if Juan has access to any of the TikToks of women overreacting to the Roe v. Wade and Casey decision. Some of them are I'll stall for just a few minutes while you look one. Um, if anybody doesn't know, Juan's the owner. Juan is the owner and producer and the researcher for our show. Well, he doesn't own the show; he just runs it. Um, but we've had a lot of people leftists overreacting to Roe v. Wade in the Casey decision, and we've had a lot of people that have really, with the New York permit to carry case, way overreacting or painting it in a way that's just absolutely asinine. When you look at, like, there was a story earlier about the overturning of their legislation. They immediately put up a picture of the Uvalde school with kids climbing out to safety, as if somehow those two things are analogous. That there's a correlation between a permit to carry and being able to carry concealed or unconcealed legally without having to worry about repercussions in a school shooter. Uh, so but conservatives are way overreacting and acted like this is, the ruling on Friday was going to completely end abortion. They're out celebrating, and it's a good decision. It's a great decision in that it puts the decision back in the state where it belongs. The problem is that we're so divided that, so like Minnesota is surrounded by states that had basically trigger laws in place that if Roe v. Wade got overturned, it would immediately ban abortion in their states. Well, now we have the governor of Minnesota signing an executive order saying that he will not cooperate with any of the neighboring states that criminalize it and will not allow anybody to be prosecuted who travels to Minnesota for an abortion. And I'm not necessarily saying that if the will of the I'm against it, but if the will of the people in Minnesota is that abortion should be legal and somebody travels here for an abortion, do I really want to see Iowa charge that person for a crime when they come back based on a suspicion? But the precedence that it sets, when you have a governor saying we will not cooperate on a criminal case, on this case, because we don't agree with you, blows open the doors for any governor anywhere than to say I'm not going to cooperate with any law in another state that I don't agree with. And I just it's going to cause far more divide. I think we're on the cusp of a civil war if this keeps happening.
I think if anything, the best thing is that this will now allow the American people to vote on this issue, and leave it up to the people. That's what I say.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine. Oh yeah, these are great. Go ahead, Juan.
Just want to let you know there's two videos here. The first one is actually the reaction of a conservative. The second one is the reaction of a liberal once the decision came out.
I bet we'll be able to tell.
You know who the left should blame for the overturning of Roe versus Wade? Not the Supreme Court, not Christians, not conservatives, not Republicans, not pro-lifers. The only ones they should be blaming are themselves. It is 100% their fault Roe got overturned. A lot of people, myself included at one point in time, could sympathize with the scared teenager, with the drug addict who had no business bringing a baby into this world. We could understand that. We didn't like it, we didn't agree with it, but we could at least understand it. We went from safe, legal, and rare to up to the moment of birth. We gave you an inch and you took a mile. We drew the line when you decided that you should be able to murder a fully formed infant up to the moment it exits your body. You have no one to blame but yourselves.
It's ma'am. That's all I could think of when I saw that one the other day. It's ma'am.
Oh, you know, I don't get emotional about these things anymore. It's just like, like today, the whole Trump thing about, oh, he attacked and tried to grab the wheel. It's like, you really believe this?
What? What are you talking? What?
So yeah, they had a witness
Like
in
I
there.
worked all day. I listened to podcasts.
You're
I
gonna love
listened
this.
to I listened to educational. I listened to educational podcasts, political philosophy during the morning and in the early afternoon, and then in
You're gonna love this.
the last half of the afternoon, I listen to entertaining things, and I try to stay away from the news while I'm working. So what are you talking about? I mean, he did announce at one time he did grab something, but it wasn't the right thing, and he shouldn't have said it on tape.
No. This was they had Mark Meadows' assistant. She was interviewed in front of the J6 committee, and she testified that Trump was in the presidential limo and was mad they wouldn't take him to the Capitol and climbed over the seats through the bulletproof glass. And she didn't say that, but this is how the limo's done up. And grabbed the steering wheel and tried to turn it, and then choked a Secret Service agent. And of
Wait a
course,
minute. Somebody said this under oath,
under oath in front of Congress. And what's funny is that committee has no
made an
Republicans.
accusation that the sitting president of the United States acted like that, and she's the only one that's reported this.
Yes, and there's no Republicans
That's what
in the
Jack
committee,
Brzobiak was
so there
talking
was no
about.
one to
All right.
cross-examine her. So it was just allowed to stand, and within hours, Trump's Secret Service agent has come out and said, "Yeah, that's 100% false, and I'm willing to testify to that." So the left will
Well,
do
did you hear
almost
that?
all these hoaxes.
The sergeant of arms for the Senate was scheduled to testify and mysteriously died
Mm-hmm.
because he was going to testify that there were agent provocateurs that were clearly I don't want to get Clintoned um, or Epstein, but it sounds like it was pretty clear that they were